Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is part 26 of our Let's Get Cooking series, where we are investigating cooking mechanics and how to make mechanics for a cooking game. At the end of the last video, I did mention that we will be making possibly a function that allows us to test what recipe we're working on at the moment. As you develop a game, you often have to put in some form of test mechanisms to bypass a lot of the steps. We, in our ordering system on this game, we've made it as a random generated order system, which is great for the gameplay, but it's not so good when you're trying to, like we had a problem at the end of the last video, if you look, of actually getting the stacks in the burger and the sandwiches to actually be in the right place. And what was happening was, every time we got to test it, you'd end up with having to keep restarting the game to generate the order until you got the right recipe that you want to test. And I'm going to attempt to show you that now, but knowing the luck of video, it'll probably give it to me straight away. But say, for example, I wanted to make the ham cheese sandwich. I'm doing that and I'm testing that. We could start the game here. And there you go, look, it comes up as a medium coffee. Okay, so we'd have to finish the game, start the game. Oh, we've got a cheeseburger and a large coffee. And eventually here we have the ham cheese sandwich. Now we've got two. So it gets a little bit annoying when you're testing something, especially if you're just making tiny adjustments and you want to test something. And obviously the more recipes we add to our game, the more this is going to be compounded, the more times you're going to have to keep restarting the game to get to what you test. So we're going to make a quick test function in this video. It's not going to be a very long video, where we are going to be able to choose what recipe we want and switch test mode on and off. So without further ado, let's get going. And I'm just going to switch over to my other project. And all the work on this is going to be done in our Kitchen Manager, because that's where we generate our random orders. Okay, we've got this generate random orders function here, even though we can set it here, testing. There are two ways we could have approached this. We could have adjusted this and put in lots of tests and stuff like that. But it's just as easy to make a new function and using some of the functionality from this. So that's what we're going to do. And if we look on our event graph here, right at the very top, we've got where we're calling it here is where it generates the orders. Now you might think, well, let's just skip that, but if we skip it, we get no orders, so therefore we can't just skip it. So we have to do something a little bit more in depth. So straight off the bat, we're going to make two. What do I call it? Oh, I'm going to put one in orders. Okay. We're going to make two new functions. Okay. The first one is going to be called override random order. And the second one is going to be called override create order. They're not really overriding them. They're just different functions doing slightly different things. Sorry, I'm just seeing which one we need to do first. because one calls the other. I just can't remember which way around I did it. Okay. So the first one we need to do then is the override create order. One we've got open here. We need an input, and it's going to be the recipe that we want to choose. Recipe, recipe, and it's of our type DA recipe. And it has two outputs. The first one is an output of DA recipe, which is a map with integers, like so. And the second one, I'll put names on them in a moment, is a single variable of type float. So this one is called result. And this one we can call order price. Order price. I'm just checking my sound because I've had a little bit of sound issue problems in the last few videos. Okay, so the sound is working. So in here, we just need two local variables, which we can actually get from here. So let's make them from here. We're going to say promote to local variable, and we're going to call this lmap. It doesn't need to have any meaningful name as such, not kmap, lmap. And this one can promote to local variable, and we're going to call this lprice. And they can say attached because that's what we're going to be outputting. But let's break it and put in the code in between. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our lmap. And because it's a local variable, it's going to get refreshed each time, so we don't need to worry too much about clearing it. And we're just simply going to say add. We're going to manually add a quantity because we're only testing one line, one item. This is for testing, remember. And what we're going to add is we're going to add this. Okay. Then we're going to get, actually I'm going to rename this from recipe to test recipe because we have so many variables with the name recipe, it's going to get a little bit confusing. We're going to get test recipe function, which is from here. We're going to say give price. And these are all functions that we already have built in for the original one. All we're doing is making a reduced version of that. I just realised something out here. We're going to get the price. We're going to, but we don't need to multiply it. We're going to use that. We're going to set. I realise we're multiplying a single item, so we don't need to multiply it by the quantity. There's only one. And we're going to output those, okay? Very simple function. Just going to create the order and give us the output so that we can use this information in a moment. The next one is not overly complicated, but it's a little bit more work. So override random order now. Has two inputs. First one is test recipe again. And the second one is, we're just going to call it test mode. And that's going to be a Boolean. We have an output. Test mode. Okay, it conflicts because it's the same as input, so we just put a question mark, that's fine. And this top one obviously has to be a DA underscore recipe. Like so. So let's break this, move it down here. First thing we do is a branch. If we're not in test mode, we're simply going to return that. Now, easiest way to do it, I'm just going to say test mode and use a variable from there. So we're going to return whatever we put in there because it's the easiest way of doing it. Okay, so a lot of these we already have. So we have our, so we get our active order number. We set that to 0. We have a number of orders completed. We're going to set that to 0. We're going to get our, I think we call it order blocks. We're going to get this. No, we're not going to set it, we're going to get it. Sorry, my apologies. Get our order blocks, we're going to clear that. So it gets rid of any information in there that we don't need, so it makes sure it's nice and clean to start. We're going to get our generated orders. And we're also going to clear that. So we're basically making, just like we did in the other ones, we're making it so that we're starting afresh. There's no spurious information. We're going to get the monitor widget reference. We're going to get the order box. And we're going to clear that as well. So in this case, we use clear children. Oh, so that's the housekeeping part of it done. We've cleaned everything up. We're going to get our generated orders again. So copy and paste it. And we're going to resize it. One, because we only want one in there. Like so. Technically not necessarily, you could do this in another step, but why not? So then we're going to get our override create orders. We're going to run that. Oh. And the test recipe is going to come from the start of the function, like so, which is here. I'm pointing at the screen, I don't know why. We're going to get our generated orders. We're going to get a reference because we are changing it. Make sure you get reference. Index 0 because we're only having one. We want the first one. Then we're going to set members. join that up to here. And the members, we're going to set our order total, and order number. Okay, just those three. The order number can become 1, and these simply go from here to here. We're going to drag this out, promote that to a local variable. Yeah, just to save strings. I'm just going to call it L order. Nope, didn't type for some reason. Why doesn't it like L order? We don't have it. For some reason it doesn't like it, so L. Unreal being Unreal, as it can be at times, so just get a 1 on the end of it, it's fine. It's going to let me delete it, wouldn't it? No. L order. So leave it as L order 1. No reason why it should be a local variable. It is a local variable. There's no reason why that should be doing that. It's obviously a little bug somewhere. It picks up the name from somewhere. Right. We're going to come out of here. And we're going to say break. We're going to put this down here. Promote this to a local variable. And we're going to call it orders generated. No, sorry, not generated, orders completed. Like so. We're going to drag out of here and we're going to say get value by index, and we only want the first one because there's only one in there. And then we can hide the rest of these. Make it a bit neater. We're going to drag in our get orders generated. Local variable. We don't need to, well we do because we need to set it. I'm going to say set array elements. That's going to be joined to there. Make sure you've got size to fit on just in case it didn't resize successfully, which it should have done. From here, we're going to say, actually no, we're going to do it here. We're going to make order progress. We're going to get this. And we're just going to do that and make sure that's checked as null, index 0. Okay, that's the first part of that done. We drag in our local order 1 in our case now. We set members. The members we are going to set is the orders completed one. Which we're now going to drag in here. So we made it here. Now we're setting it inside the other part of the struct. I chose to loop through this just because it makes it a little easier. So we could do it without looping because we know there's only one. But this way we get, it sort of breaks it down a little bit easier. And it's not going to make any difference to your performance. Oops, so for the loop, I missed a step. we need to set this, so we need to Control C, read this. We're going to set array element in this one too. Index 0. We don't need size to fit, and we're just going to set that. So make sure you have two set array elements, one on orders completed, one on generated orders. Now we're going to get our generated orders. And we are going to, I do apologise, my dog's chasing a toy. We're going to create a widget. The widget's going to be our order block. Here's our order struct. And our order array index is +1, is our order number. We're going to get our widget, which we got back here. So we can go back and copy these two. And we're going to add a child. To the wrap box. Make sure you use it to the wrap box one. Then we're going to get our order blocks. And we're going to add. And what we're going to add is this. And that's that part of the loop done. We're just going to then get our order blocks again. Oops. We're going to get the length. We're going to get our orders total. This one here. We're going to set that to whatever the length is, which is only going to be 1. So we could have manually done that, but you know, let's not hard code things and something like that. In the habit of doing too much hard coding. And we want our monitor widget. And we're going from there, we're going to run update orders completed. From there, total goes to orders total. Orders completed, we want our number of orders completed in here. And we're going to set our active order number back to 0. And then we are going to grab these. We're going to return here, like so. And that's all we need to do for that function, or those functions. So let's implement it. Like I said, we're going to implement it at the begin play. So basically, we've got our event graph. And we've got our update balance text there. Which we're going to need. So we're going to move the original one. So let's just do that across there. Let's bring that out there for a minute. Disconnect that one. Move that across. We've got our short delay. Let me just get rid of that comment box. Yeah, you don't want a comment box anymore. Then we're going to call our new function. So our order override here. Okay. You do not have to set this to anything. All right. So we're going to do a branch on that. If this is false, we're going to go ahead and run our random order, then back into our original code. If it's true, we're just going to go here by passing the random order. Oh, and straighten them up, maybe it was. So the way this works is, we'll say, for example, let's try and zoom in a little bit more. Say we want to test the cheeseburger. We select cheeseburger, we click it's in test mode. If we go ahead and play the game, the only thing you should see on the screen is a cheeseburger. So we can now go ahead and test everything that we want. We'll just change it, say let's do the sandwich, play the game. We've got our ham cheese sandwich. Even with the ham cheese sandwich selected, if I click on this, deselect the test mode, run it, now we've got bread and jam. We've got it set up to only give one line anyway. So you can see now that the random generator, also I know it's set up to for random generator, it's giving all sorts. So the random generation still works as wanted. Function could be quite happily left in there right up until you want to, or even including when you distribute the game, but right up to you want to distribute the game, you could, you know, if you want to keep it around, keep it in your project, but you don't need to keep it necessarily in there. So that's it for today's video. It's a little short one just to give a little helper function, just to help us deal with newer recipes as we come along and making our testing a little bit easier. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, and if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell, get any notifications from new videos. If you like my content, consider joining my Patreon or buy me a coffee. Any problems, you can hit me up on Discord or drop me a comment below. See you in the next one. Bye.